There are moments when something moves through your body before your mind has time to explain it. A sudden chill across your arms, a quiet tightening in your chest, a wave of emotion that rises without warning. Most people dismiss these experiences as random physical reactions. They keep moving, scrolling, thinking, doing. But what if those sensations are not accidents at all? What if they are messages, subtle signals that your inner world is beginning to realign with something far greater? Many of us are living in a kind of spiritual numbness. We wake up, fulfill responsibilities, carry invisible emotional weight, and fall asleep again, repeating the cycle while quietly wondering why life feels disconnected or stagnant. Beneath that routine often lives a deeper exhaustion, the feeling that you've tried to change, tried to manifest, tried to heal, yet something still feels blocked. Here's what neuroscience and consciousness research have begun to reveal. Your body is not just a biological machine. It is a sensory instrument, constantly interpreting information from both your inner emotional landscape and the field around you. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches that when your heart, brain, and nervous system begin to move into coherence, the body responds first, often through sensations like warmth, pressure, tears, or chills. Carl Jung described this as the psyche announcing a moment of alignment, when unconscious material rises toward awareness. So if you've ever felt that quiet shiver of recognition, that deep inner stillness, or that sudden emotional opening, this video is for you. Today we're exploring what truly happens when your energy begins to align, and how the universe starts communicating through your own body. This is not about blind belief or empty affirmations. This is about learning to listen, to feel, and to reconnect with the intelligence that has always been guiding you. Let's begin. When your body speaks before your mind, there is a quiet moment that often arrives without ceremony. It might happen while you are sitting alone in your car, standing in line at a grocery store, or lying awake in bed after a long day. A soft wave moves through your chest. Your skin tingles. Your breath changes. For a second, everything feels suspended. Most people brush past this moment, labeling it stress, fatigue, or imagination. But beneath that surface explanation, something much deeper is taking place. For years, you may have been trying to change your life from the outside in. You adjust habits, chase goals, repeat affirmations, and search for clarity through logic. Yet the inner tension remains. The reason is subtle and profound. Transformation does not begin in thought, it begins in the body. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient traditions always knew. Your nervous system holds emotional memory. Every disappointment, every unspoken grief, every moment of fear or hope leaves an imprint in your tissues. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that the body becomes conditioned to familiar emotional states, even when those states are painful. Anxiety, scarcity, or self-doubt can become home. Over time, your biology learns to expect these patterns, and your perception of reality quietly organizes itself around them. This is why change feels so difficult. You may consciously desire peace, abundance, or connection, but unconsciously your body is still rehearsing old stories. There is a silent mismatch between what you want and what your nervous system believes is safe. That internal dissonance becomes the invisible wall many people feel but cannot name. The sensations you experience during moments of alignment are signs that this wall is beginning to soften. A chill along your arms, a sudden warmth in your chest, a lump in your throat. These are not random. They are signals of coherence emerging between your heart and brain. When emotional energy that has been held for years finally finds movement, the body responds with sensation. It is the language of release. Carl Jung spoke of this as the psyche reorganizing itself. When unconscious material rises toward awareness, the body often reacts first. You feel before you understand. That's because the body processes truth faster than the mind. What makes this moment so powerful is that it doesn't come from effort. It appears when you stop forcing outcomes and begin inhabiting the present. When your breath slows, when your shoulders drop, when your attention gently returns to your inner space. In these states, your nervous system exits survival mode and enters receptivity. The body no longer braces against life. It begins to listen. And this is where many misunderstand spiritual alignment. They believe it is about generating intense emotion or visualizing perfect futures. In reality, alignment is quiet. It feels like coming home to yourself. It carries a softness, a subtle clarity, a sense of inner permission. You are no longer pushing energy outward. You are allowing it to reorganize within. From a physiological perspective, this is coherence. Your heart rhythm becomes more ordered. Your brain waves shift. Stress hormones decrease. The electromagnetic field around your body stabilizes. Greg Braden describes this as entering a state where your internal signals become clear enough for the larger field of consciousness to respond. In simpler terms, your system becomes readable. When that happens, life begins to reflect your internal order. Not always instantly and not always dramatically. Sometimes it shows up as unexpected conversations, sometimes as intuitive insights, sometimes as doors quietly opening. But the process always begins inside. Many people miss this because they are waiting for external confirmation. They want visible proof before trusting what they feel. Yet the universe communicates through sensation first, through subtle emotional shifts, through those moments when your body feels lighter, warmer, more spacious. Think of it like tuning an instrument. You don't strike the strings harder to find harmony. You listen carefully and make small adjustments until resonance appears. Your body works the same way. Alignment happens when you stop tightening and start sensing. This is also why unresolved emotion matters so deeply. Grief that was never expressed. Anger that had nowhere to go. Shame that lived quietly in the background. These energies remain stored in the body, shaping your posture, your breathing, your expectations. Until they are acknowledged, your nervous system continues broadcasting old signals into the field. But when you allow yourself to feel without judgment, something extraordinary unfolds. The body begins to unwind. Sensations move. Awareness expands. And often, that familiar shiver appears, not as discomfort, but as recognition. It is the moment your inner world and outer reality briefly touch. You may not have words for it. You don't need them. That gentle wave through your system is your biology remembering a deeper order. It is your emotional body releasing its grip on the past. It is consciousness finding a clearer channel through you, and this is only the beginning. The silent identity that shapes your reality. Long before conscious goals take form, something quieter begins directing the course of your life. It lives beneath your thoughts, beneath your intentions, beneath even your emotions. It is the identity your body carries. Not the story you tell about who you are, but the emotional posture you inhabit every day. This inner identity is formed slowly. It grows out of accumulated experiences, unresolved disappointments, subtle beliefs about safety, worth, and belonging. Over time, it becomes familiar. The nervous system learns its rhythms. The muscles adapt to its tensions. The heart memorizes its patterns. Eventually, this identity operates in the background, quietly filtering how you interpret reality. Napoleon Hill referred to this as the invisible self-image. Carl Jung described it as the unconscious personality that lives behind the mask. Modern neuroscience confirms that your body remembers emotional states long after your conscious mind has moved on. This is why two people can live through similar circumstances and experience entirely different realities. Their internal identities are not the same. You may consciously desire peace, prosperity, or deeper connection, yet your body may still be organized around vigilance, lack, or emotional withdrawal. That gap is not a moral failure. It is a biological condition shaped by years of adaptation. And this is where manifestation is often misunderstood. Many believe change begins with thought. They try to override old patterns with affirmations or visualization, but the body does not respond to language. It responds to state. It responds to safety, presence, and emotional coherence. If your system is still signaling threat or scarcity, no amount of mental intention can fully penetrate that signal. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that the body becomes the mind. Repeated emotions become chemical habits. Those habits reinforce neural pathways. Over time, your biology begins to anticipate familiar outcomes, even when they are painful. This anticipation quietly shapes your choices, your reactions, and your sense of what is possible. The result is subtle self-sabotage that rarely looks dramatic. It appears as hesitation, as chronic fatigue, as losing motivation right before a breakthrough, as attracting the same relational dynamics again and again. The pattern feels external, but its origin is internal. The moment your energy begins to realign, This identity starts to loosen. That is when sensations arise. A heaviness lifts from your chest. A wave of warmth moves through your spine. Tears surface without a clear story attached. These are signs that the body is releasing old emotional conditioning. It is reorganizing itself around a new internal reference point. From a scientific perspective, this is neuroplasticity in action. From a spiritual perspective, it is remembrance. You are not becoming someone new, you are shedding what no longer belongs. What makes this process delicate is that the nervous system resists unfamiliar states, even when they are positive. Peace can feel strange to a body accustomed to tension. Stillness can feel unsafe to a system trained to anticipate problems. This is why alignment sometimes comes with discomfort before it brings relief. The body is learning a new language. Greg Braden speaks of coherence as the bridge between human emotion and universal intelligence. When your inner signals become ordered, the field around you responds, but coherence does not arise from force. It emerges from authenticity, from allowing your emotional truth to surface without suppression. This is why moments of alignment often arrive during vulnerability, in quiet reflection, in grief, in awe, in deep gratitude. These states bypass the analytical mind and speak directly to the nervous system. They soften the identity that has been guarding you. And when that identity softens, your perception shifts. You begin to notice synchronicities. Your intuition becomes clearer. Decisions feel less forced. There is a sense of being gently guided rather than pushed, not because life has suddenly become perfect, but because your internal resistance has decreased. Imagine carrying a heavy coat for years without realizing it. One day, you finally set it down. The world hasn't changed, but everything feels lighter. That is what happens when emotional armor dissolves. The chills you feel in these moments are not mystical theatrics. They are physiological markers of transition. They signal that your system is moving from contraction to expansion, from protection to openness. This openness is not weakness, it is intelligence. It allows new information to enter your awareness. It allows creative insight to emerge. It allows relationships to reorganize. It allows opportunities to become visible. But most importantly, it reconnects you with your own inner compass. Jung believed that when the unconscious begins to integrate with consciousness, life takes on a sense of meaning that cannot be explained logically. You feel aligned, even when circumstances are uncertain. You trust the unfolding even without guarantees. This is the quiet power behind those subtle sensations. They mark the moment your inner identity begins to change, and when that happens, your reality follows. When emotional memory begins to release, there is a point in every inner transformation where something long held finally starts to move. It does not arrive loudly. It comes quietly, often disguised as fatigue, tears, or a strange sense of spaciousness inside your chest. This is the moment emotional memory begins to loosen its grip on your body. For most of your life, your nervous system has been storing unfinished experiences. Moments when you had to stay strong instead of grieving. Times when your voice went silent because it didn't feel safe to speak. Losses that never found words. Each of these experiences left a subtle residue in your tissues. Over time, these residues formed patterns: tightness in the shoulders, shallow breathing, a constant readiness for disappointment. Bruce Lipton explains that the subconscious mind operates far more through emotional conditioning than conscious reasoning. Your body learned what to expect from the world based on what it survived. And once those expectations become embedded, they quietly shape your perception of reality. This is why certain feelings seem to appear without cause. A sudden heaviness in the stomach, a wave of sadness that doesn't match the present moment, a familiar anxiety that rises even when life feels calm. These are not flaws in your system. They are echoes of stored experiences looking for resolution. Carl Jung described this as the return of unintegrated material. When parts of your emotional history have never been fully processed, they surface through sensation. The body becomes the messenger for what the psyche could not complete at the time. Alignment begins when these messages are finally allowed to pass through awareness. Not analyzed away, not judged, simply felt. And this is where many misunderstand healing. They think release must be dramatic. They expect catharsis, intense emotion, or spiritual fireworks. In reality, most release is gentle. It feels like a soft unwinding. a deep exhale, a quiet moment where your chest feels wider and your breath naturally slows. The chills that accompany this process are markers of nervous system regulation. They appear when your body shifts from a state of defense into a state of openness, from contraction into expansion, from memory into presence. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that when emotional energy finally completes its cycle, the brain releases neurochemicals associated with relief and coherence. Your heart rhythm becomes more ordered. Your internal environment stabilizes. This biological shift creates space for new perception. In spiritual language, this is called clearing. But clearing does not mean erasing the past. It means integrating it. You are not trying to forget what hurt you. You are allowing it to be felt fully enough that it no longer needs to live in your muscles, organs, and breath. This integration changes how you meet the present moment. Old reactions lose their intensity. Familiar triggers soften. Situations that once felt overwhelming become manageable. You start responding instead of reacting. The world feels less threatening, not because it has changed, but because your body no longer expects harm. This is where alignment becomes tangible. You notice that your thoughts slow down. Your awareness widens. There is a sense of being here rather than chasing what comes next. This presence is not passive, it is deeply alive. It carries clarity, intuition, and a subtle feeling of connection. Greg Braden describes this state as heart-brain coherence, where emotional stability allows consciousness to interact more fluidly with the surrounding field. In simpler terms, your inner signals become clear enough for life to mirror them back. Synchronicities begin to appear. Insights arrive without strain. Decisions feel guided rather than forced. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your internal reorganization. What is most remarkable about this phase is how ordinary it feels. You may still go to work, still pay bills, still navigate relationships. But beneath all of that, something fundamental has shifted. You are no longer carrying the same emotional weight. The identity that was built around survival begins to dissolve, making room for something quieter and more authentic. This is often when people describe feeling lighter without knowing why. The body has released a chapter. There is also a deep compassion that emerges here. You begin to see your past not as a series of mistakes, but as adaptations. Every coping mechanism once had a purpose. Every defense once protected something vulnerable. Recognizing this brings softness to your inner dialogue, and with that softness comes freedom. Napoleon Hill spoke of this as the moment when resistance gives way to cooperation with life. Jung would call it individuation, the process of becoming whole. Neuroscience calls it nervous system regulation. Different languages, same truth. You are remembering how to inhabit your own body. Those quiet sensations, the chills, the warmth, the tears that rise unexpectedly, are signs of this remembrance. They mark the passage from fragmentation into coherence, from stored pain into living presence. And when emotional memory releases, space opens. Space for creativity, space for connection, space for new possibilities to take shape. This is not the end of the journey. It is the doorway. When coherence opens the door to synchronicity, there comes a stage in inner transformation when alignment stops feeling like something abstract and starts revealing itself through subtle changes in daily life. Conversations unfold differently. Decisions feel lighter. Certain situations resolve without the usual resistance. You may not be able to explain why, but there is a growing sense that things are arranging themselves around you. This is the quiet emergence of coherence. By this point, emotional memory has begun to soften, and the nervous system no longer carries the same level of internal noise. Your body is not constantly scanning for threat. Your mind is not looping through the same unresolved stories. There is space inside you now, and in that space something remarkable happens. Your internal signals become clearer. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes coherence as the state in which your heart, brain, and body move in rhythmic harmony. When this occurs, the electromagnetic field you generate becomes more ordered. From a scientific perspective, this affects how your biology communicates with the environment. From a spiritual perspective, it is the moment your inner world becomes readable to the larger field of consciousness. This is where synchronicity begins, not as dramatic miracles, but as meaningful alignments. You think of someone and they call. You stumble upon information at exactly the right moment. An opportunity appears just as you had quietly released your attachment to the outcome. These experiences are not random. They are feedback loops between your internal coherence and external reality. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect alone. He believed they arise when the psyche is in harmony with deeper layers of reality. In other words, when your inner state becomes ordered, life reflects that order in symbolic ways. This is why alignment feels so different from forcing. Forcing comes from fear. Alignment comes from presence. When you are forcing, your energy moves outward aggressively. You try to bend circumstances. You chase validation. You push against time. The nervous system stays activated, and reality often responds with resistance. When you are aligned, your energy becomes receptive. You listen more. You sense more. You allow things to unfold. The body remains regulated and reality responds with flow. What makes this process delicate is that it often unfolds quietly. There may be no sudden breakthroughs or dramatic turning points. Instead, you notice that your reactions soften. You stop replaying old conversations. You feel less urgency around proving anything. There is a gentle confidence that replaces constant striving. This inner shift changes how you interpret the world. You begin to notice beauty in ordinary moments. A stranger's kindness feels meaningful. Silence becomes comforting instead of uncomfortable. You trust your intuition more, not because you've learned new techniques, but because your nervous system has learned safety. Greg Braden speaks of this as entering a state of heart-centered awareness, where emotional stability allows intuitive intelligence to surface. In this state, decisions arise organically. You don't overthink as much. You feel guided from within. This guidance is subtle, it doesn't shout, it whispers, and it often speaks through sensation, a gentle expansion in your chest when something feels right, a tightening when something feels off, a familiar chill when truth resonates. These bodily cues are your internal navigation system, now recalibrated by coherence. What many call manifestation is simply the natural consequence of this recalibration. You are no longer broadcasting confusion, fear, or unresolved emotion into the field. You are emitting clarity, and clarity attracts clarity. Relationships begin to mirror your inner balance. Work opportunities align with your values. Creative ideas arrive without struggle. None of this feels forced because it isn't. It is the reflection of your internal order. There is also a profound sense of humility that accompanies this stage. You realize that you were never meant to control every outcome. Life is not a problem to solve. It is a relationship to enter. When you soften your grip, life meets you halfway. Napoleon Hill described this as cooperating with infinite intelligence. Jung saw it as aligning with the self. Neuroscience observes it as nervous system regulation. Different languages, same experience. You feel supported by something larger than your personal will. This does not mean challenges disappear. Difficult emotions still arise. Uncertainty still exists. But your relationship with them changes. You no longer collapse into old patterns as easily. You stay present. You feel. You move through. That presence is power. It allows you to remain open, even when things are unclear. It allows you to trust the unfolding without needing constant reassurance. It allows synchronicities to surface because you are no longer blocking them with internal noise. And perhaps most importantly, it reconnects you with your own inner wisdom. The chills you feel during moments of alignment are reminders of this wisdom. They mark the meeting point between biology and consciousness, between emotion and awareness, between who you were and who you are becoming. They are not signs to chase, they are signs you are listening. And when you listen, life responds. There is a quiet truth that reveals itself only after you've traveled inward long enough. Your body has always known the way. Every chill, every soft opening in your chest, every moment of stillness was never random. They were invitations, signals that something deeper was trying to reconnect with you. You are not here to force life into shape. You are here to become coherent enough to meet it. When your nervous system softens, when emotional memory releases, when your inner identity begins to reorganize, reality responds, not because you demanded it, but because you finally allowed yourself to be present. This is what alignment truly feels like. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It arrives as peace where there used to be tension, clarity where there was confusion, and a subtle sense of guidance where there was once fear. Carl Jung believed that when you integrate what lives in the unconscious, your life starts to carry meaning. Joe Dispenza shows that when heart and brain enter coherence, the body becomes a bridge to new possibilities. Napoleon Hill spoke of cooperating with an intelligence greater than the individual mind. Different languages, same realization. You were never broken. You were remembering. And as you continue this journey, let yourself honor those quiet sensations. They are not distractions. They are confirmations that something inside you is waking up. What if the very sensations you've been ignoring are actually the doorway to the life you've been waiting for? If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future conversations like this. Share your experience in the comments and stay with us by watching the next video on your screen now. Your journey doesn't end here, it's only beginning.